Thank you, Dr. Brown. Good evening, graduates. Congratulations on your life-changing achievement. I am honored to serve as your commencement speaker. It's an exciting opportunity to give this kind of speech, to be both inspirational and offer challenge, and I only have an hour to do it. I'm just kidding, I'm not going to take an hour. The class of 2014, what do we know about you? Nearly 80% of you were part-time students. More than half of you had grade point averages of 3.0 or better. The two majors having the highest number of graduates are receiving Associate of Applied Science degrees in Process Technology and Instrumentation. And most of you are the first in your family to graduate college. So numbers are descriptive but incomplete. And each of you has your own story of overcoming obstacles and hard work and perseverance leading up to today's celebration. Can you believe today is finally here? My family has its own story about overcoming obstacles in the pursuit of education. It shows how families can advance in just one generation through a commitment to education. You see, my grandfather went to school in 6th grade to go work in a sawmill in a neighboring town. He later married, and my grandmother died early in their marriage. He raised 6 children by himself and never had a chance to complete his formal education. He worked 6 days a week building a small business that put food on the table for all of his children to college. Let me tell you about those kids, my aunts and uncles and mother. One served in the U.S. Congress, another earned a PhD and became director of Johnson Space Center in Clear Lake. Another, my mother, became the first person in the state of Louisiana to receive a special education teaching license. And my other aunts achieved great success in their fields of healthcare and small business ownership. Each and every one of those people stood on the shoulders of my hardworking grandfather. What a legacy he left because of his commitment to education. Now, some of you have family members who sacrificed for you to be here today. For those heroes out in the audience, I offer my thanks to you for changing a loved one's life and for making a positive difference in the world. Now I'll tell you, in giving a commencement speech, it's very tempting to want to give you a long list of advice, of do's and don'ts. And I'm not going to do that tonight except for one thing. I am going to encourage you to start saving for retirement. Did you know that a 25-year-old who saves $200 a month at 7% interest will have over $500,000 by the time they turn 65? It's never too early to start saving for retirement, so you can start now. Now, you know I had to bring that in because I work for a bank. Okay, so that's enough for the do's and don'ts. But what I'm going to share are what I call power questions. Power questions can shape a career and a life, and I'm going to give you the ones that have influenced me. And the first is this: what do I want to be when I grow up? Now, that sounds like a question you would ask an elementary school student, but I assure you it's not. Take a moment and imagine your life 10 years from now, 20 years from now. What do you see in your mind? Are you doing what you always dreamed of doing? As living beings, we are in a constant state of change. Now notice I didn't say human beings are in a constant state of growth, because growth is a choice. What does it mean to grow? It's the act or process of developing. It's an increase or expansion. It's progressive development. All good things. Answering the question, what do I want to be when I grow up, is essential, because once you commit to it, that answer becomes the organizing principle of your time and your money and the relationships that you create. Now, in practical terms, growth can be taking on that new role at work. It can be making a goal to come back and get that next credential, that next degree, that next certificate. It's doing the frightening thing that on the other side causes for your expansion. Now, a choice I made towards growth was a few years ago when I decided to go back to school after 15 years out of school. You see, my career before Chase was in nonprofits, and I had such a passion for helping nonprofits achieve greater impact. And over the years, it became clear to me that nonprofits and the problems they're solving are becoming increasingly complex, and that skills in finance and marketing and strategy were needed for a 21st century nonprofit. So 5 years ago, I left my job, I moved out to California and went to school full time. There were 57 students in my class, and there was only one other person like me who had a background in nonprofit. The rest were bankers. They were managers at Fortune 500 companies. They had done startups in Silicon Valley. Was it intimidating? Yes. Did I work harder than I ever thought I could work? Yes. And did it pay off? Big time. You see, before I went to school, I worked for a foundation that donated $3 million a year to nonprofits in Houston. And then after school, with having that credential, it opened the door for me to work for JPMorgan Chase, a foundation that awards over $190 million to nonprofits around the globe. Chase is in the top 10 of US-based corporate foundations. If you don't make a conscious effort to visualize who you are and what you want in life, then other people and circumstances are going to make that choice for you. Your life is going to be shaped by default. And if your ladder's not leaning against the right wall, every step you take gets you to the wrong place faster. Answering the question, what do I want to be when I grow up, is about developing a vision and then using your proactive muscles to make that vision a reality. So the next question is, what can I give back? You know, a few weeks ago, I heard a story on National Public Radio about a study on happiness. And it turns out money can buy you happiness. See, there were some researchers that did a study at this college in Canada, and they recruited some students, and they organized their volunteers into two groups. So the first group they brought in, and they asked the students, rank your happiness on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the least happy and 10 being the most happy. They recorded the students' answers, and then they handed each student an envelope with the instructions to spend that money on themselves by the end of the day. The next group they brought in, they asked the students the same question, how happy are you on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being least happy and 10 being the most happy. And then they gave the students an envelope of money with a different set of instructions, and that was to spend the money on other people by the end of the day. So they sent the students out, they conducted the experiment, and then brought them back, and they had some very interesting findings. They found the first group did very ordinary things with the money. They went to the drugstore, they went to Starbucks. The second group did some really creative things with the money. One lady bought a stuffed animal for her niece, while another person gave the money to every homeless person they encountered on the street that day. They asked the first group how happy they were at the end of the day, and there was no difference between what they had scored themselves in the morning and what they had scored themselves in the afternoon. But the second group showed increased levels of happiness. Now, you might think that this was just a Canadian phenomenon, but I assure you it's not. It was repeated halfway across the world in Uganda with the same results. So the takeaway is this: spending money on yourself doesn't do much for you, but spending money on other people will increase your happiness. So another resource is time. Think about what you like to do. Think about what others seek you out for. For me, I've had a number of people reach out to me for career advice, and then they'd circle back with me and tell me they appreciated my encouragement or my ideas. So it was a natural fit to become a mentor. And I've mentored a number of young people over the years, and one of my mentoring relationships has been 7 years long. We've been through her high school graduation, her college application process, college graduation, and then her first job search. And one day she sat me down and she said, you know, I really appreciate you because you've given me your most important resource. And I thought, oh, my brilliant wisdom, my wonderful insights. And she said, no, you've given me your time. Right now, there's someone out there that needs you. There's a young person who's longing for encouragement or help navigating college or help filling out a financial aid form. There's an elderly person needing a kind word, or there's a family that doesn't have any groceries in the pantry and it's a week until payday. If you get involved, you're going to change someone's life, and it's a scientific fact. It's going to make you happy. Now, the final question is this, and probably the most important question, and it's this. It's why not me? I've been really fortunate in my life to meet people who've overcome tremendous obstacles through their hard work and their perseverance and their talent. And interestingly, when they're faced with a challenge, they say, that's not for me. That's for someone who's smarter, better connected, has more money. They talk themselves out of the opportunity before even trying for it. Now, I found when I asked the question, why not me, and I went for the opportunity, sometimes I won it, and sometimes I didn't get it, but I still won because I learned something about myself, I learned how to compete better next time, and I built my courage muscle. Now, there's been times where I've listened to that voice, and I didn't try for the opportunity, and I'll tell you, a little part of me died inside. Because shirking back from an opportunity or a challenge doesn't enlarge your soul, it shrinks your soul. I'm reminded of a quote by Mark Twain who said, 20 years from now, you're going to remember those things you didn't do rather than the things that you did do. Asking yourself powerful questions can clarify what's important to you and enable you to envision the future you want to create for yourself. Asking, what do I want to be when I grow up? What can I give back? And why not me? Are the questions to ask. And only you have the answers. I'm going to conclude my remarks by sharing some thoughts from President Teddy Roosevelt. And this quote is on my refrigerator, and I look at it every morning, and I hope it touches you the way it inspires me. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong person stumbles or could have done things better. The credit belongs to the man or the woman who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly but comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. And the person who tries really knows what it's like to be enthusiastic, to be dedicated, to give them their all for a worthy cause. When everything goes right, they know what it's like to triumph. And if they should fail, well, this man or this woman has failed while daring greatly. And his or her place will never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory or defeat. Class of 2014, again, congratulations. Now go out there and dare greatly.